checked out Blowback yet, check it out. You know, you may not agree politically with what the people are saying, but it is very interesting insight into the United States history of warmongering in certain regions of the world. Cuba, Iraq, Korea, and this season, Afghanistan. And they talked about the Russian invasion of Afghanistan, the occupation, what our role was in that, and how the heroin trade played into that. And basically the way it worked was heroin trade was allowed because Pakistan was making a bunch of money from it, and Pakistan was our ally. So basically, I think what was happening here, and they talked about this Pizza Connection heroin ring being supplied with heroin coming out of Afghanistan. And essentially what happens is I think you get the poppy derivative or whatever it is that's being grown in Afghanistan. That gets sent out to either Pakistan or to Turkey, where it gets made into morphine paste. And then that morphine paste makes its way to Italy, which makes its way to the US eventually. So I thought that was interesting. And it was interesting to hear about kind of how basically all of the money that was used to buy weapons I mean, it's basically the sell crack in the inner cities and use it to fund the Contras. It's a very similar thing, except our government wasn't explicitly involved this time.
It's plausible diet.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was the government of Pakistan that was selling the heroin to fund the Mujahideen. By the way, is who we were funding. So let's not forget that part. Giving them anti-tank and anti-helicopter weapons. And eventually that Mujahideen became led by Osama bin Laden. So do the math on that one. Again, check it out. Blowback if you get a chance. There's a fee associated with it. It is absolutely fantastic. It is worth the $25 that you pay for their 10 episodes and 10 bonus episodes. So it's 20 episodes. And it is meticulously researched. It is amazing. It's an amazing show, and original music, audio clips you're not going to hear anywhere else. It's a really, really cool podcast and definitely worth checking out. So I'll give those guys a shout out. Blowback is what you're looking for. But anyway, I thought that this was interesting. I had never heard of the Pizza Connection before that, and quite the scheme that they had going on, and it was operating independently, or at least quasi independently of the crime families.
Oh, they should call that Pizzagate.
I think that name might be taken for something else. I don't know anything about it.
But just Google it and see what happens.
Don't do that. That's not the official position of the Groundless podcast, right? So let's get into our episode here. Boyd. So if we remember where we left off, Ava kisses Raylan and says, "Hey, you need to get out of here. Boyd's coming home." And Raylan's like, "No, I think I'm going to hang out because I want to talk to Boyd." And he and Boyd have a quick conversation when Boyd rolls up. There's a moment there where Boyd is very suspicious of Raylan's intentions. He leads in with believing that somehow Raylan is there to engage in adult activity with his fiance. And I don't know. There's been nothing before this that would give any indication that Ava was interested in resuming a romance with Raylan, or that Raylan was interested in resuming a romance with Ava, right? It seems very out of left field for Boyd to be thinking this is what's going on.
Well, there's still the lingering, like he was giving her the business before.
True. And that happened, I mean, in real time. It's like less than 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. And like the way like relationships are with certain people, they can't play it off. It's one of those things. Oh, it just happened. I don't know what was happening.
It was a backslide.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what happened. But we have a little clip of Boyd and Raylan's conversation, which we've been treated to so few of this season, and we get one here.
I want to know about Dewey Crow.
That boy, what's he done now?
A lot of things I imagine, but the reason I'm asking is because I was supposed to meet up with him, continue a conversation.
I never found Dewey Crow to be much of a conversationalist.
He has his moments. Guess it depends on the subject at hand. This one concerned a little trip I took down to old Mexico.
You know, the last time we spoke, you told me you'd been transferred to Florida. Yet you're not gone.
That's a keen observation.
Makes me think maybe there's something here you're having a hard time letting go of.
I'll allow it's easier for me to let go of things if I feel like they've been left in good hands. Dewey Crow?
Well, it seems to me, last time I saw Dewey Crow, he was heading over to the pizza portal. All spun up. Gonna give a couple of fellas over there a piece of his mind.
Couple fellas meaning Avery Markham?
Well, I can't say I know that name.
Funny, he knows you. He went on and on about how he knows everybody in these haulers. Crowders, Bennett's. Didn't know shit about my family, though.
Well, then there you go. This is your chance to see to it he remembers you.
Because if I'm looking for Dewey, going at Markham would be my best bet.
Well, I don't know, Raylan. But I do know you ain't gonna find him in Ava's kitchen.
Maybe you just want me to do your dirty work.
I can take care of myself. It's Ava that I'm worried about. You see, I want to ensure Harlan has a future for us and whoever else we might bring into this old world.
It's such a weird thing because, like, he hasn't. We've never seen he and Ava talk about having a child, right? Yeah. And he's like doing that in front of Raylan, and Ava's so uncomfortable with it.
Well, he's also like, basically like feeling up on different parts of her body,
Yeah.
So
like he does that. He has that where she's facing away from him and he's like stroking her legs like, oh, there's something here you can't let go of. He's demonstrating ownership, right? He's like, this is my girl, not your girl, Raylan.
Yeah.
And again, it's very much a kind of alpha male sort of thing that you wouldn't anticipate that Boyd would do.
Yeah.
But Raylan drives him crazy. And what better evidence for that than when he says, hey, didn't you say you were moving to Florida last time we talked?
Yes.
Why are you still here bothering me?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be in the sun by now, leaving me alone? I do appreciate that Boyd makes it like, hey, why aren't you leaving me alone if you're leaving?
Yeah. And that's part of it also, right? Because he's expecting Raylan to be gone already.
And you would think that he's got to have something in his head that says, hey, the reason Raylan's not gone is because he's trying to bust me. That's what's going on here. Not that he's trying to bang my fiance. He's trying to lock me up for good and then maybe bang my fiance.
Yeah.
So that's Raylan does not stay for chicken. And Boyd has put Raylan onto Markham, in traditional Boyd Crowder fashion. Whenever Raylan comes looking for information, he immediately turns him on his enemies. So, and Raylan knows it, right? Calls him out on it.
Yep.
So they're both playing the same game. It's so funny. Meanwhile, Markham's gang are doing a little after action assessment on the realtor situation. Walker wants to know what happened. They explain what happened. Choo-Choo talks about how if you guys had let me take care of the bartender problem, this wouldn't have happened. But you had to send me here all pent up, and I took it out on this guy, basically, is what he says. And so they decide to roll him up in a carpet and dump him in the woods. But they also identify that, oh, wait, this prostitute that saw us is something that's a loose end that we're going to have to tie up that everybody had forgotten about until Walker asks, like, hey, wait, is there anything else we need to think about here? He's like, oh, wait, there's a prostitute. So Choo-Choo, there's a dispute about who should be responsible for killing the prostitute. Seabass doesn't want to do it, and you can understand why. It's kind of distasteful sort of work. And Choo-Choo says, you know what, this is my screw up. I'll take it on. And they're worried about, entrusting him with something this important. But at the same time, you want to let the guy, he seems capable-ish, so you want to let him try and clean up his mess if he can.
Yeah.
So Choo-Choo is going to reach out to, what's her name? Caprice, and make an appointment to try to, essentially kill her so that she can't talk about what she saw. While that's happening, Zachariah is rolling up for a meeting with Boyd, and Ava's there. And he and Ava have a sweet moment. We learn a little bit about Ava's dad. He died in a mine when there was a collapse, and they couldn't get to him for almost a week. And there's a little bit of a conversation on that. And, Zachariah sort of analogizes Bowman to Boyd, and Ava says, "Hey, wait, Boyd's nothing like Bowman." But I'm not sure Zachariah agrees. And then Ava warns Boyd about it and says, "Hey, keep an eye on Zachariah. You know how he is." And Boyd's like, "Oh, I can take care of him. Don't worry about him." So Boyd's pretty cavalier about the warnings he receives from Ava with regard to her uncle Zachariah. He is also leaving behind, after his experience where he stumbled across Raylan in Ava's house last night, he thinks it's time to implement some sort of monitoring or security service at Ava's. So he leaves Earl behind to keep an eye on things at Ava's. And Earl is listening to his thrash music in headphones, so I'm not sure he's the best sort of sentry that you could have hired, but, whatever. So Earl stays behind. He's not much use in a mine. He stays behind to keep an eye on things at Ava's, presumably because Boyd's afraid Raylan's going to show back up, but who knows what else might happen with Avery Markham out there and all of the nonsense that they're getting up to. Any number of things could happen. So, so let's talk about Markham and Catherine for a minute. So we get this scene of them in their hotel suite. And Markham proposes, essentially, to Catherine. Surprise proposal, which always a great idea, right, guys?
Yes, that's the best.
If you really want to knock your lady out of her shoes, give her a surprise proposal, especially early on in the relationship, like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months in. Just completely surprise her with a proposal in front. If you can do it in front of her friends and family, even better.
I mean, really
strong recommendation.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? These two are old enough, and that's the proposal isn't happening in front of friends and family,
right?
So it's just there's that. But oof, yeah. I like especially have it memorialized in video.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
You see some of those.
Yeah. Definitely go elaborate. Like have a what do they call those? What do they call those spontaneous singing and dancing groups in the middle of
like
a flash mob. A flash mob.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Do a flash mob or something. Like I know we've only been on 6 dates, but I'm sure. So anyway, he proposes with, yes, you're the one. I know for sure. We're only 22, but we should do this for the rest of our lives. So Markham proposes to Catherine with a ring the size of a tennis ball. She freaks a little bit, but promises to think about it, which is never a good answer, right? Like, I don't really want to get married. Well, why don't you take the ring and think about it for a while? Okay, I'll do that. Like, that's like the most desperate sort of beta boy behavior.
It's very un-Markham like, yes. I think.
Very much so.
Character.
Yeah, it's kind of like a loser behavior, right? It's like incel sort of behavior.
Yes. I mean, like the guy has money. The guy he's older, but he still has money and influence or power. So it's not like he can't. Even he can meet like women. So
Catherine Hale's got the gorilla grip. Apparently.
I guess so. She gets it locked down.
They call her Cotton Candy. So making himself even more of an incel, he then goes on to accuse her of ratting on Grady